Good morning, everybody. This is Debbie with the Move It online workshop, and I want to thank you and welcome you to the live event. Now, I'm so freaking excited for what we're going to be doing in the workshop that's coming up and what we're going to experience together on it during those couple of hours. Now, I know it's going to be a ton of fun, and I know that it's really going to be challenging for some of you. And on the other side, though, you guys are going to have an experience like so many of my past clients had, where they actually start to realize that the things that they've been doing in real life, those industry standards, the usual dog tricks, the go-to games, everything that they have in their bag of goodies, that the things that earlier this week, they didn't even think that they were anything other than like boring must-have, gotta-dos, that they're actually pretty powerful. And you already know that it's those things that you do with your dog that make him feel good, that make you feel good, that builds that amazing connection. And you also know that without a connection with your dog, it's just no fun, right? It freaking sucks. And who wants that? And I know for a fact that when you start doing those little things, the world opens up. It's like that proverbial oyster, like a rosebud that all of a sudden, it's that little tiny rosebud, and then you fertilize it and you trim off the leaves that are ucky, and you water it, and the sun comes out, and it just opens up and it blossoms, and it has that beautiful fragrance, and it smells so awesome. And that's what I like to refer to as what else becomes possible. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm so pumped. This isn't the first time I've done these workshops, but they're always an evolution. And this one I'm like the most excited for, and I really hope that you are too. Now, quickly, I know when you wake up on the day of the workshop that you're going to find these words running through your head. And it's going to sound something like, hey, that sounds great, but damn, I don't even know what the heck I'm looking for. I don't know what my dog's body should look like. I don't know what to start. I don't even know if my dog is going to be able to do this. Heck, I don't even know if I can. So many things like, and we all go through this. Where do I start? You haven't even started yet, and yet you're like sitting there freaking out. But don't worry, that's exactly where we're going to start. We're going to start right at the very beginning. And it doesn't matter whether you have a gazillion years of experience or this is your second dog or your third dog. Because starting right in the very first hour, I'm actually going to help you start working through the one thing, the right thing, that's going to give you confidence, it's going to give you clarity, and it's going to give you certainty. It's going to show you how powerful your gut instinct and your eyes are, and how much you are actually creating many of those challenges yourself on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour, minute-by-minute basis, and how you can actually change those. And you're going to be blown away by, within that section, what a real experience with your dog can be. Now I want to tell you a little bit about why I've decided to do this. And chances are, if you're here, you've heard different things about different things. You've heard about Fitpaws and canine conditioning and body awareness and all the various different dog sports and dog activities. And you at least have an idea. There are different ways to improve your dog's life experience, to enrich their life, to improve their fitness, improve their strength, and because it's not like you've been living device-free right now. I'm going to say that'd be amazing if you have. But have you ever noticed that even when you hear these things, when you see these things, there's this massive gap, like a Grand Canyon, between knowing it and learning it and actually getting out there and doing it. And why is it that we look at, there's all these online classes, especially in the last few months, and coaches and YouTube videos, and they're all talking, they're dancing around the outside of all these things, and some of them are actually showing you, how to do stuff. But why is it that so few people actually seem to have experience in doing it, in using indoor exercise and canine conditioning and some of the tools and equipment, gear and fun stuff? What some people call that, those balls that dogs stand on, things that they can jump on. Why do they have such little experience in actually using it and using it in the very best way possible? Because, well, there's a missing link, right? Here's what they're missing. It's kind of like a submarine. And if you ever wondered, I can see the periscope. It's sticking out of the water. But damn, how big is that thing really? And wow, it's humongous under the water, and you can't see any of it. I remember the very first submarine that I ever saw in Hawaii. Like, it was mind-blowing. And what I'm referring to in this metaphor is the foundation. You see, I know there's things you want to do for your dog. We all do, right? We want to do the very best for our dog. Whether it's our dog, whether it's a dog that we train, whether it's a dog that's temporarily with us. And I know that there's things that you have in your mind, a vision. You have a dream of doing something. That's why you get your dog, right? You have a desire. You have something that you're kind of obsessed about. Maybe you started in it, or maybe you're partway through it, or maybe you've even given up on it. Maybe you go out and you buy a special dog bred just for that perfect activity. The sport performance dog, or the greyhound for lure coursing, the Afghan hound, or you go and get a terrier because you want to do barn hunt and stuff like that. Or maybe you get a dog that totally has stolen your heart. You had no clue about the dog. You didn't even know that you wanted one. But now this is dog number 2 or 3, and he's stolen your heart, and you're telling everybody that he's going to be the perfect dog, and you're sharing your vision and your ribbons and titles, and maybe you've even gone to the point of collecting photos of dogs doing what you dream of. But none of those things is getting achieved. You're always falling short. Something's getting in the way. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe you run out of money. Maybe you're stalled because you don't know what to do. Or maybe you're getting some success, but it's not what's possible. You know that there's more possible. We all know that. We get in our own damn way. And that's because there's all these unseen elements that are missing, the existing habits that they're literally pulling you in the opposite direction of those desires. And that is actually preventing them from coming into your life. We all, as owners, custodians, managers, human advocates for our dogs, once we're into dog number 2, number 3, number 4, we all have a fundamental understanding of the basics that our dogs need. But it's these unseen skills that if you can't see them, how the heck are you ever going to be able to use them if you don't have them? And even maybe you don't even know that they exist, right? And that's why I created this workshop. I created this workshop so together we could have an experience where you can discover and see and feel for yourself some of these things that are getting in the way of your dog's progress and the moments of celebration that your dogs deserve. The things that could be potentially causing an injury. And even if it's not an injury, something that's making your dog feel less than ideal. Do you know that's possible for us to actually create that scenario? I know. You're going to hear about it a bit later. Like, I totally get that. Because the truth is, what I discovered about myself and what my students have proven to be true time and time again is that unlocking the power of posture and position and giving the basics a job while having more fun, that's actually the secret to having a fit body, fit mind dog in your life. And we all want that, right? We want that dog that is as healthy as possible in his body, and we want that mind that's focused, that can think correctly, that can make amazing choices, good choices, great choices, exceptional choices. And we want to be able to have the confidence to allow that to occur. So even the tricks and the games that you've never mastered, that you think aren't even possible right now, but more on that in a minute. I actually like to take you all the way back to where this came from. So if you've ever had a thought or a feeling where you felt that there was, maybe something just slightly off with your dog, or maybe it's majorly off and you've just been kind of going, la 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 la, I don't want to look at that, I don't want to address it, it'll go away. Or maybe you didn't think you could put your finger on the cause, or if you had the courage to actually ask another person for an opinion, then the chances are you'll probably relate to this story. Like you, I've had many dogs in my life, and we've done lots of different dog activities, but back in 2009, I found myself standing at the start line of an agility trial, staring at the spot where my English Cocker Spaniel Diaz had been sitting. Happy? Excited? Anxious to start? Or so I thought. But just seconds before, she had raced off the start line, and now she was over there, shaking like a leaf, hiding under some spectator chairs, refusing to budge. And when I tried to coax her out, she growled at me, and I pulled back instantly. Diaz never, ever growled. I was shocked. I felt horrible. I was embarrassed. And I felt intensely guilty. What the hell had I done to her? See, we were competing at the highest level in agility in Canada at the time. She was fast in practice. She had been normal in warm-up. She was the 9th English Cocker in Canada to achieve her agility trial championship together. Yet there we were at our very lowest point in our competition time together. I was a professional trainer, a profession I accidentally fell into 10 years earlier, like most professional trainers do. My students were watching, my peers were watching, and I had no idea what had just happened or what to do. You see, she was telling me something that at the time I totally didn't fully understand, and nothing like this had ever happened to us before. When I got home, I frantically called some friends in agility, and one of them said the words that I'll never forget. Have you ruled out the possibility that she has an injury? That something is hurting her that you can't see? That same day, I made my very first call and my very first rehab appointment for Diaz, and canine conditioning, indoor exercise, body awareness, canine massage all became cornerstones for all of my dogs. And I reached back into my post-secondary education and my interest in movement, specifically kinesiology, the study of the mechanics of body movement, and into performance and safety, my passion from sports car racing. And you know what happened? I recognized, and I feel so silly saying this, I recognized that my gut had been yelling at me, and my brain didn't understand what I'd been seeing when I watched Diaz. I hadn't been videoing her consistently, and so what I was actually seeing were just snippets in time, like the trailers for the most amazing movies. I was only seeing the good stuff. And clearly I had missed something, and now it hurt her. Can anybody relate? Have you ever noticed, been out on on your walk and you noticed a dog limping, and maybe you're like me and can't keep your mouth shut, and you mention it to the owner and had them respond, "Oh, he's okay, that's normal." It's not. Or maybe you've had your dog suddenly come up lame and it seems to magically disappear in a couple of days and you think it's back to 100%. No, it's not. So unless you're in a situation like happened to me, a few weeks ago, where the dog comes up instantly lame, and you've realized over the last little while that he's walking somewhere where things get caught in his pad, and you lift up his foot and find that there's the half of an acorn shell around a pad, and yeah, it hurts, and you pull it out and magically he's fixed. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when something under the fur is going on. So every day there are thousands of dogs that are happy and living active lives, just like Diaz, that are either hiding their pain or they're underperforming. They're not doing their best. They're not giving it their all because something with their body or their mind, because they kind of work together, is out of whack. And several years later, I actually hit a fork in the road, what I refer to as a moment of impact, an inflection point, one of the lowest points of my dog owning life. I found myself with a conflict between two of my dogs, Alive and Ducati. And here I was, I'm yelling for my mom to take Alive to the emergency vet, and at the same time yelling at my dad to take me to the emergency room for both of us to get stitched up after an altercation between them that stemmed from energy overload. See, Alive was my 10-year-old English Cocker Spaniel, and her world looked like this before Ducati arrived. There was her mom, there was her Aunt Ginger, and there was my older Gordon setter Osiris. And we were super active, and we were competing in dog sports, and we were training 6 days a week. We were doing classes and workshops and growing and learning. And honestly, totally happy. Energetically, everything was working nicely. They were doing everything they loved and everything I loved. And, I could see it in their bodies, and I could see it in their minds and in their choices. Ali was born in a litter of 5 puppies, but only she survived, an only puppy, and she brought the most amazing, intense, prolific level of energy to every moment of her life. High energy. She was truly alive. And all she knew, the only way she knew, because she didn't have any brothers or sisters to teach her differently, and her mom Diaz was super tolerant, was that life for her was flipping and spinning and wagging and barking, because it showed everyone how exciting her life was. Can you imagine? Being a survivor, you want to scream that. And that's what she did. And it triggered other dogs. Kind of like how for some of you, those happy morning people get under your skin. If you aren't one, sorry, that's me. 5:30 a.m. is the best. Actually, 4:30 is the best. Good morning. She brought smiles to people's faces and pissed off others. She knocked down every single pylon in a rally obedience course with her crazy wagging tail. She was so happy. She got labeled by us humans as reactive. And every time she'd get all wound up, I'd act as if she was some sort of poisonous goat. And I'd say things like, no, she can't handle other dogs. And guess what Ducati did? Ducati would lose her mind and get mad and do stuff that hurt to Ali. Ducati was 5. She was 3 times bigger than Ali, and she always struggled with Ali's high energy. Can you relate? Do you have a dog that's high energy? She came into my life in a whole different dynamic. An accidental misgauge of the life expectancies of a couple of my older dogs meant that I now had 5 dogs. And believe me, 5 is not my happy number. That's like a song lyric. It may be for some people, but mine is 2. Actually, it's probably 1.5. Now there was Ducati and Moment, my brand new puppy, who you've seen lots of lately, and he's not a puppy anymore. I could no longer keep up the pace of competing and training. And the cost was restricted, and I'm sure you can imagine, even as a facility owner, where some of those are tax write-offs, it was more than a mortgage every month. And the time commitment, I was building a new business and with a young puppy. I had no time. So maybe none of this is your situation. And you're saying, well, this doesn't relate to me. But it's no different from any change in your life. A new job, new baby, move to a new city, lose a job, start a business, change in your health or someone in your family. Hey, maybe even a pandemic. The list is endless. I just couldn't do it anymore. And the dogs weren't getting the ideal combination of physical and mental enrichment of stuff they each needed. Now, don't get me wrong. Please don't take this the wrong way. My dogs were 100% healthy, and for the majority of houses, they would say they would be fine, and outwardly they looked happy. But I knew, deep down inside, a perfect storm was brewing. I knew it in my gut. My intuition was screaming at me. My inner trainer was coaching me, but I was not listening. La 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 la. I bet that happens to you too, right? Something needed to change, and I started to look for something really simple that would be good for Alive and for the other dogs to help use up that high energy, to fill in for the activities that we could no longer do because of the cost and the time required, that would be good for them. And I struggled to understand Ducati. I couldn't read her at all. It was like we were speaking two different languages. Her skills were failing. The puppy I'd labeled the smartest puppy I'd ever had, I almost gave up on. I'd see glimmers of improvement, and then the smallest thing would send us spiraling backwards. And she shut down totally. Totally. She had zero confidence in anything I was asking her. No matter what I tried, I wasn't able to get through to the real her. Now I want you to understand, this is not a workshop on aggression. Ducati's reactions were a symptom, like a headache is a symptom for dehydration. I needed to find a solution, but I needed first to find the real problem. Can you imagine what it would be like to be in the same situation? The type of thoughts you'd think, what you'd think people were saying about you, how you'd feel, maybe you're feeling it right now. Do you think everyone is judging you? That's what I think still today. When I take Moment for a walk to the park across a major intersection from our high-rise, and he levitates across the intersection because he's so excited. But I've come to realize that our dogs are so much smarter than any of us give them credit for. And that, like me, they perform at their best, think their best, behave their best, when their bodies are at their very best, when they are living an enriched life. And this means moving the right way, with ease, in a balanced fashion, and with purpose, having fun. And that meant when I made my indoor exercise program the heart of my dog's work and built everything from that perspective, everything changed. And then I got calmer dogs that had stronger bodies and sharper minds that were being challenged effectively, which allowed for more love and compassion and understanding and joy. Honest to God, laugh your head off, joy. And then I got dogs that made better choices and demonstrated a desire to learn more that allowed for us to build new games and tricks. And then I got balance and desire and the opportunity to watch my dogs, which allowed for a deeper understanding of how they feel in the moment. And today, I have helped super awesome owners like yourself tune to more focused exercise to more connection to build stronger bodies, healthier dogs. And I just teach other people like you who have dogs that are craving more, that are ready for this, that already know that you have a dog that is a sponge waiting for you to unlock the power of posture and position, to understand that from stillness, anything is possible. Because now you know this is the secret to unleashing all of your dog's superpowers. So that's what we're going to do. However, I want to get a jump start with you in this video because some of those unseen forces I know are already starting to get in the way of some of the magic that's going to get created in this workshop. So here's 3 of the biggest ones I've seen with my students time and time again. And when they finally let go of these, that's when they let in all of the goodness. The first one is, hey Debbie, this sounds great, but we don't compete in agility, or we don't compete, we just, period, don't compete. And I will tell you that today I don't either. That was a different season of my life. But I know from everything that I see in my dogs that every day they are growing. And just because we're not doing a dog sport doesn't mean it's not important to have a super healthy body. If you've retired from your job, or if you are struggling right now in pandemic and you used to go to the gym and now that's disrupted, you know that it doesn't matter if you're not doing the same thing. It's important to keep that body healthy. The second one I hear from my people all the time is, I don't have any equipment. I can't afford the equipment. The gear is so expensive. I don't have any space for it. And let me share a little story. About 5 months ago, I moved into a luxury high-rise in downtown Calgary. I think it's the 4th or 5th biggest city in Canada, right downtown. And it is a grand total of 500 square feet, which for some people, that's the size of their living room. And it works. It works amazing. Because the thing is, the more stuff you have, the more overwhelmed you allow yourself to be, the more it just gathers dust. So when you have a structured plan and you have a small space to work in it, you become so much more efficient. You're more focused on what the things that really, really matter. And the third one is, my dog is too old. Maybe he's too young, or he has a compensation. He's previously had an injury. He's dysplastic. And again, I'm going to just ask you to look back at us humans. When we age, or when we're young, or anywhere in between, or when we have a setback, we have an injury, what is the most important thing to do? To move. Because movement keeps the body fluid. The right movement keeps the body fluid. It keeps the joints moving. It keeps the muscles strong. And the other piece is that when you move, it releases endorphins. Like she says in the Pretty Woman movie, it's the happy endorphins from sex. Endorphins will help the mind work better. So now that we've got those out of the way, you're going to be so much more ready and open to what we're going to be doing over in the workshop. And here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to grab your notebook, and I want you to grab your planner. And in your planner, make sure that you have the time for the workshop that you have registered for blocked off and highlighted, so that you know that you won't have any disruptions in that area. and in your notebook so that you're ready, or in your Evernote or whatever you're using. If you're using an iPad or whatever your note-taking thing is, put your heading in there. Mark the workshop thing, the date, and so on, so you're all ready to go, because I know that you are going to want to. And I'm going to be honest right here. If you're telling yourself the story that I think I'll just bail on the workshop, I'll catch the replay, that you don't have enough time to dedicate to this, well, number one, guess what you're attracting into your life if you continue to tell yourself you don't have enough story? You betcha, not enough time. And number two, if you just balked at that first step, you're also telling me and yourself that this really isn't that important. That the money that you've invested in this course, this mini training, really isn't that important. That you're not serious about this. That you're not really committed. Because the truth is, any person that I've worked with or seen that has become successful at developing a connected and fit dog that is tons of fun to work with and live with, is that they had to become committed to that outcome first. They had to be willing to do some things that really, really felt uncomfortable, that triggered those habits that aren't serving you. Like, yep, I'm going there, the endless tossing of the tennis ball, or the repeated flinging of the chuck it for your dog to chase the orange and blue, or standing like a statue in the middle of the dog park with your Timmy's or your Starbucks or whatever preferred coffee it is, unengaged with your dog. Sometimes you gotta make a choice. You gotta make a choice to say yes to something bigger, something better, something brighter. And that's really the opportunity you have right now. So what will you choose? Will you choose to commit to this workshop and to follow through? Will you commit to go all in on this? Will you commit to whatever it takes to do the work, to do the exercises, and open yourself up to something incredible happening over the next, that couple of hours? You're already doing something with your dog each day, I hope. Why not dial it up and have more fun, learn some new stuff, and improve your dog's longevity while you're at it? Well, I hope you do, because I'm ready and waiting for you. So before we get started, just start thinking right now about what it is that you want to start manifesting. What goals do you have for your dog? What is it that you would like to get from this workshop? What kind of transformation do you want to experience in both your life, in your dog's life, and in your life together? What exactly is that in vivid color? So excited about this, so I will see you inside the workshop.